Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Diana and the Book Hunt. On the agenda today, I have in store for you the books that I didn't get to in 2021 that I definitely want to pick up in the new year. Let me tell you that I was quite surprised to find out that on this list there are not too many romance books, and the romance genre is really my go-to genre, so I expected a bit more of representation of that genre on this list, but that's not the case. And now that I think about it, I kind of know why that is. It's because last year I challenged myself to really get out of my comfort zone and start reading more fantasy books, so I had quite a few fantasy books on my list, but obviously not too much time to focus on reading. A lot of them I did read a couple of series, which I'm very happy that I did because it really got me into reading fantasy. And it's just basically a problem of too many books, too little time, which kind of represents the struggle within my life and I think most readers' lives. So I have to say that this list is quite interesting and I'm really excited to share the books that I have on this list with you, and I'm also excited to see in the end in December of 2022 whether I will have marked off most of these books as read. So I'm really genuinely curious and excited. The first two books on my list are by the same author, by Madelaine Miller. The first one is The Song of Achilles, which is probably one of the most hyped up books in the past couple of years. It's gone on Book Talk as one of the most hyped up books of the past year, I believe, and all people who have read it have said that it's quite an emotional read. It's destroyed them, wrecked them, made them sob and weep, and I know that it's going to be one which will probably impact me in the same way because I'm a very emotional reader. And I've kind of put it off because I want to be in the mood for such a read, so that's why I haven't picked it up yet. And I'm also still trying to decide whether I'm going to be picking up the audiobook for it or the physical book. I've ordered the physical book, I'm going to receive it like any moment now, but I also have it on my audio library, so I'm going to wait out and see. I'll probably be doing maybe simultaneous reading, or I'll see whether there's a lot of quotes that I want to highlight. I'll probably be doing the audiobook and then highlighting the physical book as well. I'll wait out and see, but I'll definitely be picking it up very soon. The second book by this author is Circe, which is, I failed to mention, both of the books are Greek mythology retellings. The Song of Achilles is focusing on Achilles and his relationship with Patroclus. And Circe is also a Greek mythology retelling, and while it's not as hyped up as the Song of Achilles, it does have an amazing rating on Goodreads, and I am also genuinely very excited to pick that one up. I think if I read the Song of Achilles first and I like it, I'm probably going to binge the second one as well, so let's just wait out and see. The next two books on my list are ones which were hyped by Haley from Haley in Bookland. She absolutely adored the series, so I'm really excited to see and curious to see whether they will work out well for me as well. It's the Raybearer series by Jorday Ifueko. It's a young adult fantasy books. There are two books within the series, and they have a very interesting magical world built into the books, and I think that the main character needs to compete for a spot on a very coveted kind of council for the crown prince, and I'm very excited to read a book which involves a competition. I love those, and I think I'm going to love it. When I heard Haley speaking about them, I was very excited to pick them up, so I'm going to do that as soon as possible. Like I mentioned, I'm a very notorious mood reader, so I don't want to force myself to pick them up unless I'm really in the mood for them, but I really am going to try to get to them as soon as possible. Next on my list is probably the only romance book that I have on the list. It's by Brittainy C. Cherry and it's called The Mixtape. I didn't pick it up last year because Brittainy C. Cherry tends to write very emotional books, and like I mentioned, mood reader, so I really need to be in the mood for it to pick it up. But this year I'll definitely get to this book because I've read most of Brittainy books and I really want to be up to date with her backlist, so I'm going to be reading this one for sure. The book is about the main character. I don't know what his name is, but he is a famous musician and he has recently lost his twin brother. So he kind of wants to drink his sorrows away, and he goes into this bar where he meets the female lead. I think her name is Emery. She works at the bar and she kind of helps him escape the paparazzi. I think she closes down her bar so she can give him the space that he needs, and that's where they spend one night talking and working through his grief, I believe. At least I think that's the synopsis. I'm not entirely sure, but it sounds like an emotional read and I'm definitely going to be picking it up, and I think it's going to be a 5-star read for me. Most of her books are actually 5-star reads for me, so I don't doubt that I'm going to enjoy this one as well. The next 2 books on my list are both by T.J. Klune. I think that both of them really made their rounds on BookTube, and I also think on TikTok as well. They're really hyped up. It's Under the Whispering Door is the first one. The second one is The House in the Cerulean Sea. And both of them are young adult fantasy books, which are described as being very whimsical, very magical, and very endearing. So I think that at some point this year there'll definitely come a time when I'll need such a story in my life, so I'll definitely hope to pick up at least one of them to see whether they'll work out well for me. So fingers crossed, let's hope that I'll get to them this year. The next book on my list is one which I don't think that I can adequately describe on my own, so I'll just go ahead and pick up my laptop so I can give you a very short synopsis that I've taken off of Goodreads. The book is called Black Sun by Rebecca Ronors. It's a very unique fantasy read that I placed on my TBR sometime at the beginning of last year. The book is the very first book in the Between Earth and Sky trilogy. It's inspired by civilizations of the pre-Columbian Americas, and it's woven into a tale of celestial prophecies, political intrigue, and forbidden magic. This just sounds so extremely cool and so very intriguing to me. I really want to pick it up, and the cover for it is just so stunning. I think that if I have to judge the book just solely on its cover, it should be a 5-star read, and I really hope that it will be one for me as well. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you will probably have noticed that last year I discovered Taylor Jenkins Reid as an author. I absolutely adore the 2 books that I picked up off of her backlist. I read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones and the Six, and both of them are in my top favorite books of the year. So there was bound to be a book on this list by this author, and the book that I have is Malibu Rising, which is her latest release, I believe. And yeah, just the way that Taylor Jenkins Reid writes, she creates such amazing plots. She develops such interesting, intriguing characters, and the settings that she creates and describes are just so extremely amazing that I'm bound to love anything that she writes. I think I really hope that this is going to be another favorite of mine. Even though it's a historical fiction book, I don't think I'm going to mind it that much because of the way that Taylor Jenkins Reid writes, so I'll definitely be making time for this book in this year. The next book on my list is actually this one. It's My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. I know that this book made its rounds on a lot of booktubers' favorite lists as well, and I know that Mary from More to Mary was destroyed by this book. She was astonished by it, and she made quite a long video about it that I haven't watched yet because I really want to read it first before I watch it and see whether we share the same opinions. I know that it's about a student and a teacher and their intimate relationship, so it's a bit of a forbidden, kind of a taboo book. And I know that also it is about the student and how she looks back on the experience that she shared with that teacher at the time. So I'm very curious to see how this book will work out for me. I know it's going to be an emotional read. I know that it's a triggering read, so I'm prepared for it, and I definitely want to pick it up this year. For the next book, I'm going to pick up my laptop as well, because I want to read out a bit of the synopsis so you can get a hold of what the book is about, because again, I'm not very adequate in describing books when I haven't read them yet. The book is called Pachinko, and the author is Jin Lee. This is another historical fiction book that I saw was in my audio library, and I was very happy to see that it was there, because I know that Reagan from Per Use Project recommended it. And what the book is about is, let me see, it says it's set in the early 1900s. A teenager, she's the adored daughter of a crippled fisherman, falls for a wealthy stranger at the seashore near her home in Korea. He promises her the world, but when she discovers she's pregnant and that her lover is actually married, she refuses to be bought. Instead, she accepts the offer of marriage from a gentle, sickly minister who is passing through on his way to Japan. Her decisions to abandon her home and to reject her son's powerful father set off a dramatic saga that will echo down through the generations. This just sounds like such an amazing read. I definitely want to pick it up. I know it's a bit of a long audio book, but I don't mind it if it's as beautiful and as amazing as it sounds. Then I definitely am going to enjoy this one. The next book on my list I actually just ordered yesterday, so I really hope it will get here soon. It's The Sword of Kaigen by M.L.Wang. And I have to say that I'm not going to be describing this book because I don't think that I can adequately describe it as well. It's a standalone adult fantasy book, and I know that Emily Fox and also Reagan from Per Use Books were both raving about this book. They were absolutely surprised, and I think that they mentioned that the book was really a favorite of theirs when they read it, because it's a standalone fantasy book, which doesn't come through very often. Most of the fantasy books that are very popular are ones which are within a series. So to hear that two people from the BookTube universe that I follow on a regular basis were really raving about this book really piqued my interest, so I'm going to be picking this one up as well. The last book on my list I ordered yesterday as well, so I hope it will get here soon. It's Ace of Spades, and I'm just not going to try to pronounce this author's name because I tried it a couple of times and I butchered it every time I tried. You'll just see it in the cover somewhere when I place it in here. And I know that this book is a dark academia book, which I discovered recently that I really like. And it's a young adult thriller mystery plot, which intrigues me very much. And I think that the plot, when I read the synopsis, kind of sounded like it's similar to One of Us is Lying, which I absolutely loved. So I really am very genuinely excited to pick this one up as well. This is it for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. This list was very fun for me to make, and I definitely will be making a video at the end of the year to see how well I performed, whether I was able to pick up most of the books off of this list, because if I have managed to do that, I will have put quite a bit of a dent on my TBR, which will be a marvelous feat for me. And I'm very excited to see whether I'll have any favorites, new favorites that I'll pick up off of this list as well. If you've read any of the books that I've mentioned in this video, please leave a comment below whether they were favorites of yours or whether you for some reason didn't enjoy them. If you haven't read any of the books, I hope that you'll be reading along with me so we can share opinions as well. Please subscribe to my channel, like my video, and also check out my Instagram page. You will see all of the information down below in the description box as usual. I hope to see you very soon. Have a marvelous day. Happy reading. Take care. Bye-bye.